So we are recording, and I guess we'll start now. So welcome everyone to the introduction to digital design, a session in which I'll introduce you all to the world of design in the digital world and how does it all work out and what do you need to know before jumping into this field, or if you're already into this field, then it might be able to give you a good insight into what happens for as people grow more professional in this topic. So I guess we'll proceed forward with the definition of, let's say, what is digital design. So this definition is from Wikipedia. Actually, the definition that they have given is design is the creation of a plan or convention for the construction of an object or a system. So this is the general definition of design, as design can be applied to many fields, including art, engineering, production, and whatnot. But in this session, we will actually be focusing on digital design, which is a sort of towards art, but it is a more sort of practical art with a aim to achieve. So and that's what we do when we say digital design. So digital design, as I would like to define it, would be the production of multimedia or other resources for viewing on a digital screen. So anything that you would see, I would say on a TV or a computer or your phones, even today, your smart watches or something like that. So that is all digital design, including your UI and your motion design and whatnot. We'll get into it later, but this is what the definition for digital design goes as far as it is concerned. So this is all what we're going to cover in today's session. So the first is elements of design. The second one is types of digital design. Like I told you, there's motion design and there's UI design and then there's graphic design, a lot of things. And the third one is the tools used for creating all of this. And in the fourth one, we'll have a question and answer session, which will give you insight into some other important things in the industry or something like that. Just a moment, I'm admitting some people. So yes, we'll first move on to elements of design. The basic question that one would ask is, what makes up a design? Like if I'm talking about digital design, like we have some GIF playing on here. So what are the elements of design involved in all of this? So a quick diagram I would like to show you is for elements of design. I would like to list out seven things, although people like to list out even more. Some say 12, some say 6, but I thought that these seven are sufficient for now, as far as an introduction is concerned. So the first element of design that one looks at is a line, which is a very simple thing. Like in the previous one, in the blue squid animation, you will see is nothing, just lines. So it is just the animation of lines. So that is the first element of design that we are going to look at. The second thing that concerns design is the shape. So a shape is defined as a curve which encloses any 2D area. Any 2D area. It may be a square or an ellipse. We'll go into the depth of it later. It may even be a more complex shape, but we'll go into the depth a little bit later. The third element of design that I would like to focus on is the color. So colors have various properties, including hue, saturation, contrast, brightness, and tones and whatnot. So these are very important in designs actually, as these colors are important for the field of color psychology, which actually depicts rather many different emotions or moods that would affect your designs, or would affect what you want to convey with your designs. So the fourth thing that I'd like to talk about is typography, which is more commonly known as fonts, as many of you may be just being introduced to design. So typography is the more broad or formal term for what you would like to call fonts. So they also come in a variety of categories, uh, uh, which are serif, sans serif, script, display, So these are the main categories of typography. The fifth thing that I would like to focus on is texture. So the texture is nothing but the feel of a surface denoted by the look of it in design as I have described it here. So a rough surface looks a little bit grainy, gem looks shiny, glass looks reflective, etc. So the sixth one is I would like to talk about space. The space is very important in design. If you would like to highlight certain things, we'll get into this also a little late. So the which will space is something which will make your element stand out. So I would say you would need a spacing around your text or some shape or something to make it highlighted and not have a lot of crowding between every element of your design. The last one is, I would say, direction that I felt like needs a mention. So direction in anything is, let's say, for a line, the a vertical line is more bold in its emotion, or let's say a horizontal line is more calm. So one a great example of this is the icons we see on the internet pretty often. So or in our lives also. So green line going diagonally to the right on the upside denotes profit, while a red line going down on the left side denotes loss. So direction also matters a lot in design. Now, again, I would like to move on to the definitions of each of these elements, or some of these elements rather. So, the first thing I would like to show you is the type of lines presented in front of you. Like I've shown solid lines, dashed lines, stylized lines, and curves. So, these are one of the building blocks of design that you would see. So, someone would make a solid line and you create line art out of all of these things. Then you have dashed lines, like you see, as the definition and name suggests, it is pretty clear from their shape. And the third one is stylized, which is the most creative one, which you would see painters or other types of only artists using. And the fourth one I mentioned is not actually a category, but just to show you that lines can also be called curves, and when it comes to design, they are not always straight. So the second one I would like to tell you about is the types of shapes, which is another element of design that is involved. So the first category we have are geometric shapes, basically the ones which are geometrically defined correctly. Like on the left, you have a square, you have a circle, an ellipse or a triangle. So these shapes are all geometrically defined. So we keep them in one category. And in the second category comes some organic shapes. So for organic shapes, you have something which you will see occurring more in nature. Let's say the shape of a pebble, the first one on the top left in the organic section, looks somewhat like a pebble, although you have to imagine it a little bit. But then again, these shapes occur in nature and not and are not perfect in the sense in a geometric sense. The others also you can see are just shapes which you would see occurring naturally, like the fifth one looks like a star, the last one looks like a starfish or something. So the point is that they are very random, and they just occur naturally and are not geometric. So that's all there is for the types of shapes involved. Now, the third one is very important in when it comes to design. It is the color psychology. So I've pulled up a source from a website called Praxent. um, this is very important when it comes to denoting brands or denoting your emotions in a design. So the color red is actually portrays an emotion of strength, passion, excitement, valor, boldness, sort of those things. So when it comes to say brands like, I would say, Coca-Cola, or let's say you have a lot of sports teams, or there is Virgin Mobiles here. So these are used to triggers that sort of excitement or that sort of passion. So you would see red being used for the logo of Pepsi also. and for the logo of thumbs up also, and for Coca-Cola. So these are the brands in the same ecosphere, and they are using similar colors, so they want to portray a similar sort of emotion. Red is also used in Airtel, so it goes along with the image or the vision of the brand that it wants to portray. So it is something which uh, screams out passion for the brand or the logo or the design. The third one is yellow, which denotes energy or joy or intellect and other forms of happiness or something. So you would see yellow being commonly used for lightning bolts or something. It is very common to see lightning bolts being denoted as yellow. So they are the ones which denote high energy and high power, sort of. So they are used when one wants to bring out the energy inside of a design or a logo. So this is what yellow denotes inside of the field of color psychology. Actually, I've shown only four colors here. This is a very broad field with a lot of psychological implications, but these four are the ones which I felt are the primary colors with one extra color. So okay, um, you can pull up a color psychology chart beside you right now, or I can cover this in one of my future sessions. So the third color is blue, which denotes loyalty, trust, intelligence, security, those sort of emotions. So like here you would see a Dell using blue, Ford using blue. The other two very prominent examples I would like to tell you is Paytm and PayPal. So and Facebook rather. So the Paytm and PayPal are both payment related companies, and they would want to show uh, trust for the customers to be using them, and some sort of security that they would like to use for PayPal or any sort of payment system. So blue, blue is used to highlight sort of that feature of payment gateways, or when it comes to payment systems. So that's for blue. And for green, I would say, is something which is more commonly used as healthy and organic, and something which is good for the environment and sort of those things. But here again, as the emotion list suggests, like these are not the only emotions denoted, these are some of the emotions denoted by the color green. So it denotes freshness, growth, safety. Like you would see a big basket using the color green in their logo. And whenever it comes to healthy or organic foods, you would see green being used a lot. Like the whole logo of Tropicana, the Tropicana juice is green only. And whenever you want to denote nature or something, then also you would use the color green. So these are the important qualities of colors that come with color psychology and with color in design. So that's it for color psychology for now. We'll maybe uh, join in, or we'll maybe discuss this later, maybe a bit in question answer session or something like that. So yes, moving ahead, typography. This is actually a very funny and simple example that states the difference between the fonts used and the message that is wanting to be denoted inside of different logos and such. So the first one also says, "I will always find you," but it has cute little hearts on top of the eyes. But the second one is a bit grungier, "I will always find you." Like these two say the same things but denote very different meanings in themselves. Like maybe the second one looks like some a stalker wants to kill you or something, and the first one is maybe said by one lover to another. So that is the difference between these two. So this was a light example. The second one is another field which is called the font psychology in graphic design. I have pulled up another source which is from zikagraphic.com. Like this is a pretty common thing to be discussed in design. So you have serif fonts. Actually, all these are French terms for serif is are those little things. I don't know if I can show you something with a pointer, or serifs are these things which come out of the letters. Let's say, can I zoom in? So yes, the serifs are the things which come out of the letters on the ends. So like you would see on the F, there are some slabs coming out of the letter. So those are called actually serifs. And the psychology that is denoted by them is sort of, you would say, these were a little old style fonts. Like these are not new, or these are not used a lot nowadays. But when they are, then they denote trust, respect, tradition, elegance, sort of those things. Like these are old, so you would expect some sort of a loyalty associated with them. And then sans serif are those fonts which sans actually means without. So I think this graphic might have a typo. It should be sans, not san. So again, sans serif are the fonts which are more modern. They are just modified versions of serif fonts. So actually, typography is actually also a very big field where designers sit and draw out fonts like exact letters. They would draw the letters from A to Z in caps, and then they would draw A to Z in small letters, and then they would do the digitization of it, and then come out with font files. Like nowadays, you see Arial or Calibri or Times New Roman, sort of that. So Times New Roman is actually an example of serif fonts. Arial is an example of sans serif. So Arial and like sans serif fonts denote modernism, minimalism, or cleanness, or just sort of youth in the design. So you would see a lot of new companies. I would say Deloitte uses sans serif fonts, and let me think of another example maybe. Google uses sans serif font. So these are all new things. Google's old logo, if you would check out, is an example of a sans serif font, which they later turned into a serif font back in 2012. So that is something which they needed to do. Like Google wanted to transition into a more modern look, appealing to the new users and the new age internet. So they shifted from the old style serif fonts to the new style sans serif fonts. The third one is more artistic in its sense, script fonts, which would maybe someone would use in weddings, or for other decorative purposes. Script fonts, as they have a little reduced readability when it comes to practicality in design. So that is for that. And slab serif is something which is a more geometric version of serif fonts, and you have more defined serifs in that, and you have a little a thick version of serifs involved, and they are very geometric in that sense. So font psychology about them says that they are a little versatile, they're confident, they're solid, natural, sort of those things. But sometimes it is not easy to differentiate between actual serifs and slab serif fonts. So people might confuse them both, or people might use them in synchrony with each other. So they have the least difference between all of these five categories. And the last is display fonts. They are not hand drawn like script fonts, but they are decorative in what they want to say. So that is what display fonts would say for you. Like you can have uh, the most common for display font as such it is wingdings or something. Like in Word you would see those things that you only have icons denoted by the font. So sort of those things come in display font. They are literally the miscellaneous category of fonts. So they can be very casual, fun, unique, and they might show some other sort of personality. Although these are not used professionally, I would say people would only use them to denote something like maybe a fun party or informal situation. So it is not used professionally that much. Like you would not see them dominantly being used. So again, moving on, I would say into the importance of space. So this is again a very simple example of I would say the importance of white space in design. So the first one you would say it looks a lot crammed. Maybe this is a subsection of a app UI or something. So the left one is again a news headline with it is actually an article with a heading, and on the right it does the same thing. It is again the same information displayed, but somehow the one on the right looks a more clean, and the right one looks a lot correctly spaced, and it denotes the same thing without cluttering your eyes too much. So it would not seem too merged together, I would say. So the importance of space speaks in that sense, that you have to correctly give space around your elements. So um, like you would see there is a some sort of space between the heading and the image that is being used. Again, the paragraph and the heading have another space, and the tag that is used, like here it is general, so and that and the image itself has another space in between them. So it is very important to do all this. When it comes to UI design, actually, you would much more see this in UI design, these sort of correct and wrong things. But again, these are applicable everywhere in design. So again, moving on to the next section of our presentation, what are the types of digital design involved? Like currently, we have only seen what are the elements of digital design involved. So but the next question like one would want to ask is, what can I make with these elements? Like what are the different fields that one can get into, or what are the different techniques for digital design or something like that. So um, moving into the category straight away, the first one I would like to suggest to you, or rather you see it very common nowadays, is UI or UX design, with dashboards or other app UIs. Let's say whatever you see on YouTube or Instagram or even on ATM machines, whatever you see being used on the screens of touchscreen ATM machines is nothing but UX design only, UI and UX design. So this is very common to see nowadays. Everyone sees it, and there are certain tools associated with it, which we'll cover later in the session. So yes, that is for UX design actually. The second one is a much more varied field, which is graphic design. As the definition is given again according to Wikipedia, is graphic design is a craft where professionals create visual content to communicate messages relevant to the audience in mind. So the relevant to the audience in mind is a very integral part. Like let's say one wants to let's say one wants to create a design for the older population, or one wants to create a design which appeals to the youth or kids, let's say under 8 years. So thinking that behind go the thinking that goes behind creating designs for these two categories is completely different. So something which you would create for under 8 year olds, let's say the website First Cry, might not be the same as Amazon, because Amazon is varied and it is spread out into a lot of age groups. But whereas websites like First Cry would just aim at smaller children. So that has different implications on the design decisions that would be made in this field. So again, it is a very broad term which encapsulates a lot of smaller subsets of design in the digital space. Like you could even have poster designs, you could have branding materials, you could have logos, and the list goes on. So graphic design is a very general thing. You just learn the tools to this category, and then you apply it to whatever specialized thing that you want to make. So that is for graphic design. The third category that one would like to show is animation actually. So again, this is a very common thing. Like we might all be aware of the cartoon Chota Bheem. So this is the field of animation actually. Chota Bheem is the field of 2D animation actually. So animation would can actually be 2D or 3D. Um, if I remember correctly, the movies related to Chota Bheem were in 3D, while the cartoon itself was in 2D. So These are just moving images which may be drawn one at a time, or maybe the process of drawing may not be done, and the movement of objects should be done, which is called keyframing in design, which you might again read later, or I would cover these techniques in some future sessions. So examples of 2D animation are Chota Bheem, Doraemon, Shinchan, etc. While examples of 3D animations are Disney Pixar movies, for example, like Cars, Frozen, etc. So you might be aware of all these categories, as animation is the most, I would say, public facing thing. Like it is the most apparent thing which comes for digital design. The fourth category is motion design or motion graphics, which is pretty common to see, but which is it is pretty common to see, but it is also common to forget that the impact of all these things. So the biggest example I can tell you is the Hotel Trivago thing. It has a big meme also. It has a big meme around it. The Hotel Trivago thing, and the bigger photo that is currently, just a moment. So the bigger photo that is shown is motion graphics. So motion graphics is another field which is pretty common to see nowadays. Many different ads, or let's say bank ads or something, would show these things. Like again, the Hotel Trivago example is a very good one because we have ads of it in India and globally as well. So it differs from animations in the sense of being more abstract. Sometimes it may or may not include characters. Like whenever you see, okay, text floating around, or whatever movement of text that is involved on TV or anything. Like next time you see TV ads, you can actually pay attention to whatever ads you're watching, or maybe you if you see ads on YouTube or something. So whenever, let's say, there is a movement of text or some digital shapes, or maybe let's say geometric shapes to be exact, it is most probably motion graphics that is being used with a special uh, em- uh, person making all these things behind the scenes, which who is actually not in focus, obviously. But again, this is something which is easy to miss, but it is very common, which is used in trailers and advertisements and other awareness campaigns, or sort of those things. So again, this is very common. Moving on to the next one is brand and product design. So brand and product design can be a more abstract concept, where a lot of design thinking is involved rather than making the actual products. So whatever designs you see of the products everywhere, for example, let's say Haldiram products, or let's say your biscuits, maybe Good Day or Hide and Seek, or Pringles. Pringles is a actually very big example. I should have included it in here. So Pringles actually currently redesigned their whole packaging, and they changed their mascot a lot. So sort of those things where companies change their logos and their packaging, maybe to appeal to a younger audience, or maybe to appeal to an older audience, or to anyone, to a group of females or males, or whatever other categories are involved in any social situation. So those things are some things which are very much involved, and you would require a lot of abstract thinking when it comes to this sort of packaging design. You would need to, maybe a company would say, we want to give a fresh look to our frozen food options, or they would say, a pharmaceutical company would want a fresher or newer packaging for their medicines. So it is one of those fields which also uses brand and product design, and it is a completely different field, like, because in reality, when you make boxes or any sort of those things, you would have fixed dimensions involved with it. Like for digital design, it is not important because we measure in pixels usually. But when it comes to um, packaging design, or I would say rather product or brand design, then these things are very important. So again, if I would like to read the definition, brand design can be defined as one of the crucial marketing practices of creating the name, logo, design, and the symbolic elements related to the brand to create a distinctive identity in comparison to the other brands in the market, and also provide impetus to the product differentiation. So it is a very competitive field for the company that is changing their packaging a lot. So this is again a more abstract concept where marketing sometimes, and sometimes engineering, or I would say rather social engineering, plays a big role. So yes, this is another category. I would like to move on to the next one, which is 3D design. Actually, is one of the most popular one in any sort of video games. I would say rather mobile games or PC games, or you see Marvel movies, or you see other things where, let's say, TV shows or web series, anything which involves 3D design. Like Avengers is a big example of 3D design, which is mainstream and which is popular a lot of times. And other times, like I've given an example of Red Dead Redemption, actually a game with very good graphical representations or very good 3D design in that sense. So, like you would see here, the whole environment itself is computer generated, as it is a game. So everything is a 3D object that you see, even the mountains, the clouds, the horse, the character, the cliff, everything. So 3D design also is very popular, and it is widely noticed by all of us. And we would sometimes say, for the ones who play video games a lot, we would say we need a game where we have better graphics, or we have something which looks better. And sometimes you would say graphics 10 years or 10 years ago looked trash or something. So it is one of those things, they evolve over time, and it is the most computationally heavy design field, I would say, because it involves a lot of physics and mathematics. Like I would say, if you go into the technicalities of this subject, then it would involve a lot of advanced physics and mathematics with calculating light and vectors and whatnot. So this is the more technical field for if you go into the depth of it. So again, it involves game design. 3D design involves game design, environment design, character design, and other 3D design, which may include abstract art. I've actually included images of 3D abstract art here and there. Like if I go back a little bit, if I show the types of digital design slide, then this thing which you see here is actually 3D art, 3D abstract art, which maybe some of you people might like to use as wallpapers on your phones or something. So this is 3D abstract art for you, and this also comes inside of 3D design. So again, this is a very popular thing with character design involving many popular characters. Let's say Iron Man, his whole suit and everything is 3D designed and then put onto the character itself in video post processing, or the more popular term is video editing for generality. So again, this is, I think, the last slide for types of design that I would like to cover now. And okay, so there's one more. There is art and illustration, which is the more creative field. Like you would see on the right, it may or may not give you a practical product in the end, but art is, like people say, it is subjective. So it could mean a lot of things. And when it comes to art and illustration, then people would like to unleash their creativity. And let's say here is a tree with a glowing ball of it on it. So again, this is not something like I'm saying, which is maybe not always too practical, but it is subjective. And again, there are great artists in this field which create this sort of pictures, and they are very popular for it. So again, this is another field. And art and illustration also involves things like print, or flyers, or posters, magazine, books, teaching materials, uh, animations, video games, and films, I would say, is again, this is sort of put inside of art as a general thing. But again, those things we have covered in the previous slides. So posters, flyers, magazine, books all come inside of graphic design, and art is a much greater topic. So yeah, what I mean by art over here is the more creative part of design, where you don't look at the practical implications or the social implications of what you're going to make. So again, art and illustration is not which is very go it is not a very goal oriented thing. You actually play around a lot with your creativity, and you create something which is actually important or good for you, rather than creating something for someone else maybe, or a group of people to achieve a goal. So again, I would like to move on to the tools for digital design. So once we have covered broadly, or rather on the surface level, of what elements of design are, or let's say what the different categories of design that we have looked at are. So the next question, like someone would ask, is how do I make all of this? So again, if I just commentate a little bit over the art that is used here. So the first one on the right is again 3D abstract art. It is part of 3D design. uh, the one on the bottom of it is poster design. Actually, again, this is very abstract design, but this is it still comes in the category for poster design, although doesn't seem too practical. Maybe the bottom poster says Hugo, so might be for the perfume brand or something. Again, on the art on the left is again environment design plus character design. This is, I think, from some game, but again, this is the part of character design and environment design all combined into one thing, which is a video game. So yes, moving into the tools that are used for graphic design, like what you would require. The main question that is asked by all of us, as we are not just people who would want to view maybe what all is used in the industry or what we see on the TV screens, but would actually like to get involved and start making all of these things. So on the right, I have displayed icons for different software that are used. The first one is I've displayed here is Adobe Illustrator. Uh, this actually is the one which I use the most often, or which I am technically trained on. Or the second one is Adobe Photoshop, which is again used for graphic design. Those are a bit different things. Maybe I can display or talk about the difference in them a little later, or maybe in the question answer session or something. Uh, the third thing I have displayed here is Corel Draw. Again, it is a large graphics suite with a lot of tools embedded into it. Uh, but I would still say Illustrator and Photoshop, the Adobe Creative Suite, the Adobe ecosystem of software is the industry standard when it comes to building graphic design globally. So again, the fourth one is an open source alternative, which I just had to include because yes, open source is great for people, and again, it has good qualities and pros and cons of its own. But yes, again, open source is great, so I just included an image of the GIMP software, which comes pre-packaged with a lot of flavors of Linux. So again, this one right here, the blue A sort of is the affinity design, which I had to include because it is a newcomer in the market, and with again a lot of good features. Uh, and the last one is Canva, which is the most popular with all of us who uh, don't know how to actually use these products, or actually don't want to sit on PCs and make designs. So Canva is for those people. Again, Canva is involved in is available in the desktop PC version and the mobile version on its own, but most people use the mobile version of Canva, as far I've seen from experience. And another very popular, I would not say popular, but a very useful piece of software is Pixlr. I think it is from Autodesk, a graphic design software making company. So again, graphic design tools may be used by pure artists, or some people who want to work towards a goal in design. So that is for graphic design tools. The second thing that I would like to show you is UI UX design. So like we showed dashboard of such. It is all UI UX design, which is predominantly made inside of Adobe XD, Figma. So this one, as the icon suggests, is Adobe XD. This is Figma. The diamond that you see here is this Sketch, which is mostly available on iOS or Mac only. And the last one is Framer. It is called Framer. So it comes as a web-based application only. So
Kunal,
yes.
yeah, sorry to cut you off. I was just saying, एक बार right में देख लिया कर in case somebody is raising their hand in the future, like if anyone has a question,
Okay.
like if somebody raises their hand, you see my hand is raised. You
Okay.
see to the right.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it will just prompt you like that. So in case anyone has a question in the future, they can ask you like that. So I had a question previously, but I thought I shouldn't interrupt you. You were going quite well. I just have a question right now. Great presentation. Did you make this on InDesign or what did you make this on?
This is just PowerPoint with I would say, good layouts involved. Nothing else. It is just PowerPoint.
Okay, this is a theme in PowerPoint that you're using.
Yes, it was originally, yes. It is a theme, but it is customized a little bit. Like I changed the fonts a little bit to my liking. The default fonts I changed to my liking.
Okay, okay, good job. Thank you. Please go on.
Okay. So yes, again, moving forward into the UI design tools. So these are some things which would be used for prototyping and design. So, like you would not use, I mean, let's say Adobe XD would not be used when you are creating web designs for or websites for production. Like if we have people over here which are involved or who are involved in the diploma level currently, and they are going to take up app development or something. And we are going to make web applications in that course. So these things are like for the conceptualization of the user interface that is going to be used, and they are not for the final product, but they are great for telling the user or a developer team that what sort of UI should be made, or rather it is for telling the front end developer after a lot of design decisions by, let's say, the UI or UX team, to tell the front end developer to make UI like they made in XD or Figma or Sketch or whatever, just the UI UX design tools. So they are important in that sense, but again, they are not used directly for production, and it is a bad activity if you are using uh, prototype UI for production or something, even if you can do that sort of thing. So again, these are very helpful in prototyping and are very useful for initial stages of software projects where you would like to give your user experience a certain direction and then work according to that in your software team. So the third one is animation tools. Like I mentioned before, we had Chota Bheem and Doraemon and Shin-chan or whatever, like these cartoons that are involved, and they have 2D animation. So the software that I've covered on the right is mainly or rather only for 2D animation. So these are Adobe Animate again, Adobe Illustrator, After Effects, sorry, Adobe After Effects, Adobe Animate. This one is Harmony, and the last one is OpenTunes, which is again open source and free. I just wanted to include an open source software for all of you. So again, you see Adobe popping up everywhere because they are the most dominant company or dominant force when it comes to creating creative tools for industry professionals or artists or people who are doing this like a hobby or something, freelancers, any sort of thing. So they are the most dominant force in this arena. So you would see an Adobe software or Adobe Creative Suite software for any sort of work that you would like to do. The only thing that they don't cover fully is 3D design. So for all the other fields, you would see an Adobe software popping up literally everywhere. So again, like I mentioned during the animation thing, like they have moving images, a lot of still images actually piled one on top of the other. So some of them are done by drawing them scene by scene, or others are by moving predefined objects over time, which is called keyframing. I have not given the definition, or I am not going to go into the depth of keyframing or hand-drawn animations over here because we are short on time a little bit. So again, these are fields that these are software that are used by 2D animators currently, and Harmony is, I think, the most popularly used software when it comes to 2D animation. So yes, that is all for the 2D animation toolset actually. The next one is product design tools and packaging. Like I said, for brand design and packaging design or product design, you would use a lot of design thinking rather than the tools. So the tools, like they were for graphic design, actually remain the same for product design, or rather packaging design. uh, and you just actually work more with sort of the print design part. Like this goes a bit outside of digital design into the print design, like what you see on product packaging or book covers or something like that. So these are used for conceptualizations of the packages that are going to be used. Like I'll show some images of product design, or I'll rather point out product images of product design afterwards. So again, these require accurate dimensions. These are just attractive or appealing design or practical designs which are just imposed into boxes or other packaging materials, and these require accurate dimensions. Let's say you have a box which is 30 by 40 centimeters, and you would have to create a design which is exactly 30 by 40 centimeters. Then it is superimposed with some printing machines onto that box, so your design has to be actually 30 by 40 centimeters. So these things sort of come into the category of these come in between the intersection of I would say uh, artistic design and sort of engineering design. Like these things are also done in CAD softwares. So when it comes to actual package designs like boxes and stuff, you make them in CAD software also, and you make the design in softwares like Illustrator or Photoshop, and then you put them onto those packages. So it is an intersection of a little intersection of engineering and uh, creative or product design in that sense. So again, if I would just like to lastly talk about the an example of this. So it is just, let's say you have the Amazon packets that arrive at your home for smaller packages, which are white in color and have the black and orange Amazon logo printed on top of them. So it is just an example for product design, or rather the brown or craft boxes as they are called technically. So as they have the black Amazon logo superimposed onto them with various sorts of printing techniques actually. But again, we are short on time, so I would not be able to cover those printing techniques which are actually involved in product design. So moving forward into the last category of tools for design, which is 3D tools. So they are again very popular. The products actually are very popular for these 3D tools. You have most of you might have played GTA, or have would have seen Disney Pixar movies like Toy Story, Cars, Frozen, those movies, and um, you are very familiar with all the products of these 3D tools. So again, they can be very comprehensive. Like I told you, their 3D tools can be very comprehensive due to the addition of a new dimension altogether. Like you're not only looking at uh, length and width, now you're also looking at the height of objects. So that actually adds to the complexity of these softwares, or rather learning these softwares might become difficult for some people due to again that new dimension that is introduced in 3D tools. So yes, the products related to them, or the final results related to them, are very popular. Like Carl Johnson is in GTA San Andreas. Actually, it is a very old 3D game, but again, it was still done in 3D tools. And I have some mentioned some software tools over here, like Autodesk Maya, which is I think the most popular one in the 3D industry. I am not involved in a lot of 3D design personally. I have tried it. I tried it a little bit for abstract 3D tools. Again, the second one I would like to mention is Blender, which is again an open source and a free software. It is completely based on Python, for your knowledge. Um The third one is Cinema 4D. It is a proprietary software which is actually paid and has a subscription model. And again, the last one is Houdini. So some of these softwares actually can get a lot expensive. So if you're just starting out, you can start with software like Blender, which is completely open source, has a good big 3D community. You can talk to a lot of people online, and they'll guide you through the process of making 3D stuff, and you would have a lot of tutorials on YouTube regarding these things. So just a fun fact I would like to mention is Avengers Infinity War used Autodesk Maya for creating their 3D models and effects that you would see in the movie. So these software actually can create those sort of things. But again, you would need fast computers or rendering engines technically for creating that quality of animation. Moving ahead, it is actually one of an optional thing that I'm just included in the slides here. It is some video editing tools. So video editing tools are uh, video editing tools are something which are used commonly by people when it comes to let's say adding clips of videos all together. Like we'll see an example of this very shortly, where people have created different 3D models, let's say, or the different 3D animations, and then they have just put them together inside of video editing tools. Like you create a scene of a farm, which is an animation, and then you create another game character which is 3D, but these are disconnected. So when you want to showcase these to people, you maybe would want to add them to a single video as a single file and maybe upload it to YouTube or something like that. So again, video editing tools are very important when it comes to presentation. And obviously, like I mentioned before, we had Autodesk Maya being used for Avengers Infinity War. So like the effects themselves are done in these 3D softwares, but in the end, these are just combined inside of video editing software. Moving on to the next part is just an example of video editing that I would like to see. So this is again from Maxon, which is the company that actually makes this software, which is Cinema 4D. So this is from their YouTube channel. I would just like you all to watch this, as this showcases a lot of things that people actually have done with design in general. Uh, Maybe can I start the video over here? Yes, I can. Just write in chat if you can all see the video if I start it. Can you all see the video? Can just someone confirm that in the chat for me? Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'll just play it, and you guys can see what all things are involved, or what are animations and motion design and 3D design are made. And obviously all of those components are just then put together inside of a video editor. So this is the product of making all of those designs from the previous tools involved, and then putting them inside of a video editing tool and making this final product that you are seeing now, or rather are about to see. This is a 2-minute video, so just I would suggest you relax and watch this, and it has a lot of great things involved. So that was the video. Can you guys again just confirm? Acha, okay. So you guys couldn't hear sound for it. I apologize for that. I actually, as it didn't have any sound features. So okay, and that is what I wanted to show you guys. Like these are what industry professionals are making. Like in between you would see a lot of things like some studio is making all of this. So here studio means that one person actually doesn't make all of these animations. A group of people is involved. Rather many times, if you would pay attention to the credits of movie scenes or something, you would have an animation or a VFX team which has actually 30 to 40 people involved in creating all these animations all together to create good animation. So you could just imagine for movies like Marvel and for Disney Pixar, where all of the things are in VFX and motion graphics and animation. So they would require humongous teams to pull off those tasks. And again, a lot of these things are made by different studios or two or three people together. So one of these things is created by HBO, and even Oscars used a 3D intro to their ceremony, which was again 3D animation made by BBC Studios. So this is all for the session. I would say uh, the session has actually finished in the sense of uh, theory or any other technical descriptions. Now I would say we have moved on to the question and answer session now. If you have any doubts on what you should ask, then you can see the questions on the screen maybe and ask those to me. I have a answer for all of those. Otherwise, and if you are maybe cautious to ask them on here or live, you could ask them on personally on Instagram. I've linked my Instagram over here, or you could reach me in other ways. So yes, this is an open question answer session for all of you. If you have doubts related to any of the topics discussed or related to you personally, you can start asking them now. Yes, Anshuman.
Great presentation, Kunal. Great effort. I am quite interested in animation actually at the moment. So,
Okay.
what do you know any good resources to learn some basic rudimentary level animation?
Uh, I would suggest if you want to go for structured learning, then what previously used to be called lynda.com, it is now LinkedIn Learning. It has a great deal of free courses involved. So I think you could start your structured learning from there. So it is one of good starting points for animation, I would suggest.
Thank you.
So Manav Madhukar Dalvi asks, which might be the best free software for video editing, beginner level? I would suggest, what are you going for, Manav? Are you going for mobile editing or are you going for PC editing? If you would like to clear that to me. PC editing. So okay, for PC editing for free softwares, I would say there aren't actually a lot of good resources. For PC editing, rather you had a lot of old resources. I would say video that was I think Windows Movie Maker or something where you could have um, basic transitions or effects involved. I would say a quick Google search would actually tell me the answer for free software. I actually haven't been using any free softwares in my whole career or sort of that thing. So I think one is MoveAV, and yes, one great one is Filmora. Filmora, I think, comes with a free plan, which with added features on top of it, which you have to pay for. But again, Filmora is a good one. But the problem with the last thing I would like to mention, Manav, is just refrain from maybe using free software for video editing, or just use the open source versions in Linux, I think. Because if you go for Windows or Mac in free software, then you would have a lot of watermarks on your images. You have KineMaster also for these editing, but they just give out watermarks which doesn't look good. So if you would have any way for using paid software, or rather using them in ways which are not correct, might be your answer. Mehak Chauhan asks, are Udemy courses any good? Any good for what, I would say? Udemy courses for Mehak, Mehak rather. That would be good to know. Like, for what topic are you actually looking for Udemy courses? So Udemy courses are good structured sometimes, and as okay, 3D. So for 3D, I would suggest there are a lot of good blogs involved. There is a very good channel actually. I mentioned to you Blender in this session actually. Blender is a very good free software actually, with a good learning community. Yes. One channel you can actually look for 3D is on YouTube only. It is a completely free channel. It is Blender Guru actually. He's a pretty knowledgeable person with almost everything that you would like to know about 3D, but he uses Blender for all of those things, so it would be easy to follow for you, and you wouldn't have to buy paid software for all of these things. So yes, I think Blender Guru is a good chance, and Udemy courses might be structured or paid, or if you are going for paid courses, then I would say these are good, because as just make sure that the person you are looking at has good experience in what they're teaching, and they have a good portfolio, and actually they are updated with new software and new techniques that you are going to learn. So don't learn courses which are, let's say, from 2010 or something. Learn from good instructors when it comes to Udemy, and learn from those people who have updated their courses a lot. So maybe I would not suggest going below 2018 or 19 to learn 3D animation. So yes. Anyone else would like to ask, maybe from the suggested questions, like, are some of you interested in knowing from where you should start, or what is the learning process for maybe graphic design, or how would you use pricey software, or what is the time that it takes to learn all of this? So if you would like to ask
Kunal?
those questions.
Yeah, the last question, how this is gonna help them in future? That would be good if you explain why should they
Okay.
learn digital designing?
Okay. So that's a great question to pick up actually. The how of those all those things. Like, I have actually covered what's and whys, or maybe what's and hows of whatever I told in these sessions. But I kept why is for the last. So why you should learn all these softwares is something like, for me personally, it was all hobby based in the start, but as I grew more professional and came into corporate workings, so these pieces of software actually helped me work for my company at an initial level. So like these are things which you can learn actually in your free time, maybe on a Saturday or a Sunday, on maybe 1 hour or 2 hours. These are actually very skill based things, so you could just learn these things in your free time. Yes, Anshuman.
Yeah, also,
Anshuman would like to ask something, I guess.
Yes, sir. A while back you mentioned mobile editing, right? So,
Yes.
would you say that editing on an InShot, or if you're just talking about mostly just clips, images, and text, mobile editing is like pretty much gets the job done, right? Like just getting an InShot, and yeah,
Yes.
that's it. Just yeah, even I have tried editing videos on my laptop and also on my phone. On the phone, it's way more convenient, and yeah, I mean, you don't even need to get any of these softwares. Like pretty convenient. So I think, Manav, you can try the InShot app. There are also other free alternative apps that like you don't have to purchase. You can just like through the click of a button you can remove the watermark. So something like that can work. I actually bought InShot for the whole year for like 300 rupees. So like you can look into like a free option. There are always free alternatives. You can just Google free alternative to InShot, and yeah, that should work for you.
Okay, so Reddy Moria, it was a great suggestion from your side, Anshuman. And for to add to your suggestion, I would say if you could get your hands on, I would say Kind Master or something, then it would also be great. Kind Master is a pretty, I would say it is the most advanced editor possible for mobiles or Android. But again, uh, it is a very powerful software, and if in shorts, as Anshuman suggests, I have heard it is, if it does basic video editing, cutting, sort of that thing, images, and also again it is also a very good thing to get your hands on. And Reddy Moria asks, or says rather, it would be actually great if you could just answer all the mentioned questions. So, like, if I would start from, I can do that. So I would start from why should I learn this? I answered your question, I think, to this. Like I was saying, all of this actually, Kind Master watermarks the video, right? If you get your hands on the premium version somehow, maybe then it would remove the watermarks for you. So one is why. Sorry. Okay. Why should you learn this? So again, it is one of those things which you have interest in. Then you start doing it as a hobby. Like I started it the same way. But as you grow more professional with any sort of field, maybe for companies, and you maybe go into marketing or sort of that thing, or you go into branding, you start your own company maybe, which is very common to do. I guess maybe two, three, or four of you even would have your company, or would be willing to start your own companies to that extent. So if you have basic knowledge of these things, like if you have some experience to these things, it actually helps a lot when dealing professionally, because then you actually know what to tell maybe your hired graphic designer, or maybe you start doing all of your design work for your company and everything by yourself. So that way it is very helpful to learn, as this is something, as long as there are screens or any sort of display alive, this field won't go away. So this is sort of everlasting field. So again, if you have experience to some extent, even maybe I would say beginner or intermediate level, then you would be able to help yourself a lot and not depend on others, maybe to get your work done on all of these things. Maybe like in clubs we have currently a lot of people don't know how to make designs or posters for all of these things. So they depend on others for the same. So for these smaller activities, this is a good skill which you can learn in your free time. Actually, it doesn't take a lot, and yes, you could maybe give 1 or 2 hours maybe to it weekly, and you could start getting the hang of it maybe in 1 month or so. So not a great deal, or not a big deal to learn also. So yes. The second thing is, where do I start? So if I answer that question, where do I start is something like, it depends on what level you are. So if one of you would like to ask this question personally, then I could rather give a more specific answer to this, uh, like where you should start in this. But I would say if you are a beginner, then you could take Udemy courses or something like that. Like um, one of the participants here asked. For the absolute beginner, okay. So if Reddy Moria asks if you want to get started for the absolute beginner, I would suggest, like for me personally, people like to go for courses, but when I started, I wasn't into any of the courses personally. So I just downloaded the required software that was needed, and just started practicing on my own. In the start, maybe let's say I started around 2016 or 17. For the starting 1 year or 2 years while I was in school, actually, I just used to see all these videos or tutorials on how to do things, and I would in the start just copy them on to get the hang of what software actually feels like, or what something is used, what is the process that goes behind all making all of these things. So that is how I started to learn, was just by practice over, let's say, 1 or 2 years. Just for me personally, went into practice. Maybe it might have been a bad decision to not go through a course, maybe because it gives you a much structured approach. But again, if you try practically and just practice it on your own, like this is one of those fields where you have to practice a lot on yourself, for yourself, actually. So this can help you. Yes, Anshuman again wants to ask something. Yes, go ahead, Anshuman.
Yeah, just wanted to say something to Moria. So here's what you should do. Just go to YouTube and type Photoshop tutorials, but then don't look at them. तेरा algorithm समझ जाएगा that that's what you're looking for, and then over the next few days, it's gonna show you videos like how to create underwater effect on Photoshop, how to create fire effect on Photoshop, and those are like very short videos, like 2 minute or 1 minute videos. So click on those videos. All right, open up Photoshop, and it'll just tell you like one or two three steps on how to do that particular thing, and just look at whatever inspires you and just do it. That's way easier than, just like Kunal said, if you're trying to sit through a course, it's mad boring. In a course, they try to tell you, okay, this tool is called this tool is called that. They go over all 24 tools. They tell you where the close button is. Like, that's seriously very boring. That's like learning a new language by repeating verbs. That's not the right approach to doing it. The right approach is to just start from the get go. So you might want to look into that. It'll be a lot easier. Yeah.
I completely agree with what Anshuman said, actually, and it is a very practice-based field. So, if you any of you wants to start as a beginner, so actually you should go into a lot of practice personally, and look at you sit in front of a computer maybe for 1 or 2 hours in your free time or something, and learn it in that way, rather than just going through a course which would tell you a lot of things, a lot of garbage maybe sometimes, because uh, for let's say a software that is being used here would not would have maybe 24 tools, but let's say personally, for Adobe Illustrator, as I use it, there are maybe more than 30 tools or 40 tools maybe, but I only use around 10 or 15 of them. So it might not all of them might not be useful to you. So yes, this is one thing to look at. And if you again, the third question, I think, was answered itself in our discussion of where do you start, what is the learning process. So the only thing I would just like to mention, like what I used to do a lot was, uh, I assume most of you use Instagram. So I what I did was, Instagram actually has a very big design community for every field. It has a different um community for 3D designers, and for graphic designers or motion designers. There are very good pages for what we call inspiration for these topics. So those are very important in this. So like if you get inspiration from different places for different design, that would be actually very helpful to you. So if you could follow good people, and just look at what they make, and what they are going to do, then it would be very helpful to you. um, so yes, that is for the learning process. And I I would rather, and then I would answer how long will it take for me to learn all of this. So depends on, again, depends on what stage you are. If you know, maybe if you are good at art, maybe, and if you did a lot of painting in school, or if you did a lot of craft at school, or if you were good in any of those areas, then these things should come more naturally to you. While if you weren't very good at, maybe, let's say, drawing or art or something like that, so it could take you a little time. Like, I was not good at drawing in any sense, but still I took the more geometric approach to all of this design. So I didn't actually feel a lot of need to learn to draw, to learn design. So that suggests how long it will take you to learn all of this. It could even take 1 year, it could take 1 month, it could take 2 months. Depends on what goal you want to achieve. Yes, Anshuman.
Yes, so I wanted to inform you all. We also have Ayushi with us, who routinely makes a lot of the posters for us, just like Kunal does. So maybe we can get a few words from her also. What was your design? What's your design process? What's your go-to software? Okay, she just left.
Yes, yes. Ayushi,
Okay,
Ayushi has left the meeting currently. Maybe she'll be
okay,
back to answer all of these questions. So,
okay. We also have Mehak with us. Maybe she can tell us a little bit about her design journey. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Meg. So I'm a designer. My field is lifestyle and fashion accessory design. I know the basic softwares like InDesign or Photoshop, Illustrator, but I didn't really feel the need to work with it because I liked ceramics. Anyways, that's a very old story, and now I feel the need to get into 3D because of COVID. It like it just I feel it'll make me fully independent. Um, and so far, the learning has been going great. I am actually I'm not a self learner. Like I cannot learn by myself. That's what I feel, and I need a constant mentor. So I always try to find teachers who can help me through my journey and like give me constant feedbacks, and that's how I've come to like learn the design softwares.
Okay, so
Uh,
what's
and
your go-to
I
software to design anything? Like if you have to say design, for example, a logo or just a basic sketch, what software do you use?
uh, see like I've heard that Coral Draw in India is pretty famous because
yes, Coral Draw.
every printing sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead. I was just saying that Coral Draw is, yes, very popular in India.
Yeah, like every printing place uses demands for a Corel Draw file. So I had to learn it, relearn it actually. After that, it is easy. Corel Draw is easy, but I prefer illustration, Adobe Illustrator, which is like quite convenient. Otherwise, for Photoshop, like if you know the tricks, to convert the images into objects, like shapes, I don't know, like there's some option that converts the shape into real object. I forgot the name,
Vector
but
art. I
yeah,
ideally want to
like
say
there are
vector art.
certain, yeah, like there are certain tricks, like you can use both the softwares easily without the fear of your design getting pixelated. So
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. Also, Kunal, what is your go-to software when you're designing something?
So actually, Yes, Mike. Yes, Mike.
Sorry,
If
Did
you
you
was
want
that
to say
question for
something?
me?
if you're not trying to say something, just mute yourself. Okay, Kunal, you can go ahead.
Okay, okay. So I'll move on. Move on. So the what I wanted to say
Um,
was for me when it comes to software, I actually do video editing, I do motion design, I do graphic design, and I use for all of this. I use Illustrator. It is the most convenient because it is the more geometric thing to use. A lot of artists for painting and drawing use drawing tablets and then use Photoshop along with it, so that is something which people like to use. But as far as I am concerned, I you like to use Illustrator, but along with Adobe After Effects and Adobe Premiere Pro, and Photoshop. So these are the four softwares that I use, but I use Photoshop the least, maybe because I do the least photo editing. And yes, Illustrator is the predominant thing in my workflow. The next one would be Adobe After Effects because I do a lot of motion design. So that is what I use.
Yes, sir. So, what is your go-to software for video editing? And Poonraj also has a question.
Just on okay. So for video editing, I would like to quickly answer you. For video editing on phone, I use KineMaster, the premium version, and for on PC, I use Adobe Premiere Pro. So those are the two softwares. Premiere Pro is actually very powerful when it comes to video editing. It gets everything done. Like it is the industry standard for video editing or for graphic design in the whole world. So yes, that is very helpful. Yes,
Yes.
and
Hold on, 1 second, 1 second. I have
okay,
one follow-up question.
okay.
Do you find on an average day when you're editing a video, do you find yourself preferring a mobile situation where you're editing on KineMaster, or do you prefer like a laptop situation where you're editing on Adobe Suite?
See, honestly, this would actually depend on how lazy I am feeling at that moment. So, if it is something which could be done simply when it just involves cutting video or just simple rearrangement of clips, then I could go for mobile editing on KineMaster. And but if it requires something very professional, then I would go for the Premiere Pro software of Adobe. But yes, Ponraj had a question. So if you would like to go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Kunal. That was
Hello.
a great session.
Thank you.
My question was like, I am an aspiring web developer.
Okay.
So I come from a coding background, and I
Okay.
don't have much of a design background.
Okay.
But for example, if someone gives, maybe my colleague or someone gives a design mockup, generally it comes as an Adobe XD or a Figma,
Okay.
and since I'm not good in design, I am only communicating like this kind of design could be better, or like in
Okay.
words, not
Okay.
actually editing the design that they give.
Okay.
So coming from this background, what would you suggest? Like which tools I should look up, or how should I go about, or where should I start learning a bit of design so that it can help my with web development?
Okay. So it is one of those things which I actually work a lot in. I work a lot for UI UX design. It is one of my most loved fields, I would say, when it comes to UI and UX design. So, for you, as I am myself a more of a front end developer, so what I like to do is just get the basics of layouts and graphic design in my head as much as I can. But when it comes to actually expressing yourself other than in words, then I would say you would have to learn the basics of what you want to achieve. For example, like I gave the example of the importance of space in UI design. So that is, let's say, that is one concept that you want to do. Uh, And as far as mockups are concerned in Adobe XD or something, let's say you don't know how to use Adobe XD, and it would require a lot of effort for you. So I would say maybe use Adobe Illustrator in that sense, maybe to communicate, just some tool to communicate visually with your UI designer, I would say. Or most people, or rather, if you look at the material design process of Google, I think they started out on pen and paper. So maybe if you could just get a bit of your if you just could just get a ruler or and a pencil, maybe that could help you in better explaining the layouts to your UI designer. So that is what I would like to suggest. And for softwares, I think you can again start on YouTube. It is the best place for learning. I would say all anything related to design. When it comes to digital design, YouTube is a very very good place. So yes.
Thank you, Kunal.
Mehak would like to ask something again. Go ahead, Mehak. Right.
Uh, Hi, so I would just like to say that in my experience, these design softwares are just like basic tools to communicate what you want to present. Okay, but the main hero in this process is like all the design principles. Like one should like read principle of design, like all like you mentioned about space right now regarding UI UX. So like color, balance, repetition, uh, yeah, and like one should have knowledge of these design principles as a part of theory. So that's all.
Yes, yes, I agree
Thank
with
you.
you. Whatever Mike said. Again, if I would just like to add just a few more things, as Mike suggested to Ponraj's question. So just I would say just start to learn more about the theory of design, like color and balance, etc. So that would help you a lot more. And then go on to the software. They are just tools. So you wouldn't have a very hard time learning them. Maybe 1 or 2 weeks of consistent effort should get you started. So yes. And Anshuman would like to ask something again. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. So, like you mentioned, you edit on Adobe Premiere, right?
Yes.
So, what is a good resource to learn Adobe Premiere?
So for Adobe Premiere, Adobe Premiere is nothing but just at its core, it's just aligning video clips to your liking. And and any resource for getting started into how you actually align those video clips should give you enough experience to just start doing your video editing without any effects, I would say, in the start, maybe. So when I started Adobe Premiere Pro, like I wanted to learn. I had a small YouTube channel which I would rather not mention in this session right now. So on that channel I edited a lot of football videos. You see montages of maybe Ronaldo or Messi or something like that. So I used to do that, and I would just try to copy or let's say try to make the same effects as other people did. Or if I had something in mind, I just learned to learn that certain effect, which would help me actually. So yes,
Thank you.
Pratyaksh Singh wants to ask something. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi Kunal.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, go
Hello.
ahead. Yes, go ahead with your question.
Yeah. My question is actually regarding after learning such things like designing and UX designing and all that, what opportunities we can get after it? What workloads we can get from it?
Okay, so you're saying what are the jobs in the market for all these after learning all these skills?
Yes,
Okay.
that could be a passion. Yeah.
Okay, so yes, if that is what you want to ask, then I would say as India is growing more into the digital space, like I would say around 2014 or 15, when India didn't have the geo internet and everyone did not have the you have an access to internet or something. So at that time there was a lot less digital content creators in India. So, as far as jobs are concerned, if you would like to go into core design or core digital design, if you would like to go into that and just do that for a living, then I would say the jobs are, yes, increasing, because as there come newer startups, there are more unicorns in India. Like 2021 is a very good year for all these upcoming startups. So if you would just go to their LinkedIn, or maybe there is a website called Glassdoor, which is a global website for hiring. So on those websites, you would see a lot of design jobs that are currently in India, and they mainly require expertise, or rather experience in one of these fields, and they are very good with internships too. And even as far as I know, as Google and IBM and all are much into design systems and graphic design themselves. The design divisions are quite large, and they also like to hire these people with these skills. So, and yes, like I mentioned before, these can be helpful to your own ventures as well, as they have been for me. So yes, and the last thing that you can do is you could go into freelancing, but it is a very competitive thing, I would say, for graphic design. So again, you should tread carefully with that. And but again, there are a lot of opportunities coming up day by day for design, if you just go and browse any website.
Okay. So, can you please suggest some of the government, workloads which we can do for the government, and which are the government initiatives so that we can help them, and
Okay,
we can do such works.
for government, I think for as far as the government is concerned, I have not actually seen them actually hiring graphic designers, but I'm sure, because even they use advertisements and everything.
Okay.
INDP. I'm
Okay.
not aware of this actually. So if Mehak would like to suggest something, then surely go ahead, Mehak.
Okay. Thank you, Kunal.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll just
Okay,
add
so
some
Kunal,
text of
yeah.
one sec, just in context of the government, since Pratyaksh asked, it's usually the case is that they already go to faculty in NID or NIFT, or look for like graduate students over there. Like for example, when the rupee symbol was designed, when the Doordarshan logo was designed, so in all of these cases, the government usually just goes to these government campuses and looks for graduate students or faculty there who are able to come up with a good enough design. And the bar for the the standard for design in India isn't actually very good if you look around. So not a lot of money is spent on design. So probably, like, your chances are low if you're looking for something over there. But I think Mehak knows something.
Or I would rather suggest
Okay.
in design is something for which you can do a lot of remote work actually. So if you are just looking for like I said, and as Anjuman suggested, uh, a lot of maybe money may not be spent in India, but as uh, companies and startups and unicorns grow in India, I'm sure more companies would require the need for good design. And actually nowadays companies like Cred and all work with a lot of graphic designers, and Zomato and Swiggy and all, everything, they are constantly in search of designers. And even YouTube channels, at one point I got accepted into a job at AIB, because at that time not a lot of designers were available, but I was too young for their job, so I was not able to go there, and they wanted someone at Mumbai, so I didn't go there. But yes, again, there are a lot of opportunities available, but only if you go and search for them, and if you become above average, or I would say well at your craft, then obviously a lot of companies are willing to hire good designers.
Okay, thank you for the suggestions, all of you.
Also, I just wanted to add, he asked about government now. So basically, government is doing this urban development program for various cities. So there's a tulip. Uh, tulip is the name of the program that government is running. They are basically hiring interns and full-time jobs for the urban development program. I think I saw they're hiring graphic designers, so you can check out that. Okay, tulip program by
Okay,
government. Do check out
so
that.
is
It
it
will help.
tulip, huh?
Yeah, yeah, tulip. The flower name
Okay,
only.
yeah, I will check out.
Huh.
Thank you. Uh, yeah,
Okay.
one more follow-up question. Uh, is this session based on graphic design and skills we get and all the questions related to this field, huh?
So basically, this session, what I wanted to do was introduce it to a lot of beginners, actually. Beginners or intermediates alike. This was just an introduction. Like I said in between the session, I could go into the depths of many of these fields, and it actually wouldn't stop. There's a lot of things to say about the various techniques involved. So I have not gone into anything advanced or even intermediate at this point. I'm just touching the surface with all what all is available in this field. So, if that answers your question, Pratyaksh.
Yeah, okay, I get it. So,
But we
yeah,
will
we are
come up with
looking.
more sessions. Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but we will come up with more sessions like that. So you guys, if you want to learn, you can join in. Right,
Yeah,
Kunal?
sure, sure.
Yes.
We, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
you're from Tanav's
yeah.
group,
Absolutely.
right?
Sorry, please.
You're from Tanav's group, right?
Yeah. I'm done.
He was actually in a group leaders group under his WhatsApp name BS Judge.
Yes, yeah.
So, what I would say, if there are other developers also here, like we had, so I could also do something which is related to UI design for all of them. So, yes, UI is something which I also specialize in. So, I could talk about UI design also, if that seems more practical to you, Pratyaksh, as you are uh, definitely not doing it for a hobby, as I understand by your question.
Yes, I actually, I'm not so much involved in such field of designing and all that, but yeah, I can understand. Not so much, but yeah, at a beginner level, I can say that.
Okay. Yes, Ishwari Kulkarni asks, can you please answer the second last question? The software is pricey. How do I use all of this? So yes, most software that you encounter nowadays of the Adobe Suite and all come paid and with a paid subscription. Actually, they have actually moved on to a subscription model where you pay yearly or monthly to keep using the software. Yes, you can do what Anshuman, or as here mentioned, Sundarbans secretary says. Google free alternative to X software for Photoshop. You have a website called Photopea. Yes, I've heard it. You can. Many people have come up with open source solutions for replicating the same softwares and being able to use the same features, almost like the Adobe software. uh, yes, but still, I remember a stat that these softwares are the most pirated currently. So a lot of people actually use them without paying by some methods. So some people resort to that also. Maybe I don't know, but it is obviously not recommended to do. Yes, Anshuman.
Yes, we have mentor Puneet Bhagat with us. Let's all give him a welcome. He is from
Oh
Bandipur.
my god. Are you guys waiting to pounce on me or something?
No, no, no. I was just just giving you a welcome.
Thank you, so sweet of you. I'm just another student. I come to learn something from Kunal today.
Welcome,
Yeah,
welcome,
we
Puneet.
You
Thank you.
actually, we were just about to wrap up. This is like at the end of we're at
Yeah,
the end of
I understand.
yeah.
But you see, I have tried to attend every house's every program, even for a few minutes. Okay,
Okay.
just to encourage you guys. So that's
Appreciate
me.
it.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Great. All right. But I'm so glad you guys are doing discussions like these. This is I would love to see more of this.
Okay.
So thank you. Thank you for organizing. Thank you for being here. So brilliant.
Thank you. So yes, I guess if we don't have any more questions, I would like to move towards the end of this session. So I'm just giving a few more minutes. I would say 1 or 2 more minutes for you people if you want to ask a few more questions, and if not, we'll wrap up the session then.
Thank you so much. Great session, Kunal.
Yeah, thank you.
And guys, we are going to upload the whole session on YouTube channel, on our YouTube channel. So if you want to check it out again, you can go there and see. Thank you so much. And yeah, Kunal, great session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
everyone.
guys. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
such
everyone, for
sessions.
listening.
Thank you, Kunal.
So again, just a few more things to mention. Before you all leave, you can check out my work on my Instagram page, which where I actually upload regularly. I have been uploading there since 2018, so that is like my portfolio for all of this. So if you would like to check my page on that, or just check the websites mentioned there. So Medprax is my company, www.medprax.in. I do a lot of UI design and graphic design there, as I said, in the corporate and practical world. So for my hobby things, you can see kunalchaturvedi.com. There I do a lot of abstract art. So that is also one of those things. And again, yes, I plan on doing a few UI sessions in the future. If you guys are interested, I would be glad if you attend those as well. The link to the channel, Sundarbans channel, right? It is given. So, any more questions from anyone? I guess there are no more questions. Kunal channel, do check it out as well. Yes. Thank you for putting it, Madhugandha. Yes, so as there are no questions, thank you all for listening. Again, you might reach me out on my email or ask me some queries directly, uh, or just look at my portfolio and maybe ask something about that. So yes, the last thing for aspiring design people, I would say Reddit also has a great community for design. So if you could explore a little bit over there and learn from those people, it would be great. If you have a great community, you learn better. The last thing, that was the last thing I would like to say. And thank you all for attending.